You never know it by the cover art or the title of the game, but Dragon Power is actually just an Americanized rework of the extremely popular media franchise Dragon Ball. It's crazy to think that there was a time where it made more sense not to slap DBZ characters on anything, but this was the 80s, and anime in America was pretty much just Voltron at that point. You play as son Goku, who occasionally looks like the normal human-esque character during cutscenes, but in-game he looks more like a full-on monkey man. All the other characters have new names so that us Westerners wouldn't be confused, but I'll just refer to them by their Dragon Ball names. Bulma's here, yelling up a storm, and I think that's Master Roshi and his turtle, except he's got a huge beard and looks less like a goofy pervert, and more like he's gonna ferry you off to the land of the dead. There's also Yamcha, the pig and cat things, Krillin, and, Mr. Popo? Yeah, that's not cool. I'm not as familiar with Dragon Ball as the later Dragon Ball Z series, so who knows, maybe this whole plot is straight from the show. It does kind of have that goofy, carefree energy of the original series. There's tons of dialogue scenes between stages, and it's a real mixed bag. Some of it is pretty funny, and I can see the anime's humor coming through. Some of it is a bit Englishy, with bad punctuation, misspelled words, and awkward truncated conversations. The thing I'm really confused by are the scenes with the hermit. Master Roshi wants Bulma's lunch in return for helping you, and she seems really distressed by it. Later, he wants more of her sandwiches, and she convinces the pig guy to impersonate her and feed Roshi. Am I missing something here? Why is this so awkward? Of course I am. Turns out that in the original Famicom version of the game, shown here with a new but still awkward English patch, Master Roshi was asking for Bulma's panties, which makes this whole cutscene so much more ridiculous. Holy shit! Dude got so excited by this underwear action, blood shot out of his nose. Gross! The whole transformation bit with the pig guy, whose name is Oolong by the way, is way worse. In the Japanese version, instead of hamburgers, Roshi actually wants to cop a feel, which leads to Oolong getting the world's most ineffectual breast exam. Pat, 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 pat. Anyway, the gameplay is pretty straightforward. You walk around punching dog people, occasionally wandering into caves where you receive items with little effect. Then there will be a boss fight, which you should be able to win every time by simply walking up to them and mashing attack until they die. You've got a pretty decent amount of health, so if you keep it high before these fights, you'll have no problem. Dragon Power is one of those games where your health is also a timer of sorts, so that as you walk around, your health decreases. I'm assuming this is an allusion to the show where Goku's hungry all the time, and thus he needs to keep eating in order to keep fighting. Regardless, the health thing is a major factor in this game's difficulty. As the levels progress, ham hocks become less plentiful, and the ever-ticking clock forces you to move faster and less cautiously than you'd like, which in turn causes you to take more damage, which makes you rush even more. It's a vicious cycle. In this respect, it reminds me a lot of Gauntlet, where you're constantly throwing your character headlong into enemies because it's less damaging than waiting and being strategic. Dragon Power exploits this gameplay factor further by giving you objectives like find the 5 crystal balls, which means that not only do you need to check every cave and every house, but also fight every enemy in order to locate all the items and progress. Since you don't know where to go, it's a lot of trial and error managing your clock efficiently to fully explore a level with enough health left over to defeat the bosses. The most ridiculous example of this is the Rabbit Gang level, where an Alice in Wonderland character turns Bulma into a carrot, so you have to find 4 other carrots in order to rescue her. Okay! So then you have to go in each and every door, one by one, and all the while that life meter is just ticking away. I didn't understand exactly what was happening the first time I played this stage, and once I made it to the end I realized I'd fucked up and had to go back through the entire level, just popping my head in over and over. Once I even entered a room that had a carrot, but exited too quickly, and when I went back, it was gone. I then went through all the doors again, only to realize there was no way to find all my vegetables after my mistake, and suicide was my only option of escape. Weak. Dragon Power is divided into 2 sections for some reason, with the caveat being that in the second section, if you die and continue, you start all the way back at the beginning. By this point, the game is ridiculously hard, and it's highly unlikely you're going to breeze through to the end, especially when your health never replenishes. The last stage, the Tall Tower, is a brutal gauntlet of boss fights and no meat snacks in sight. If you beat either section, you get this weird choose your wish screen, where it basically just replays little cutscenes from earlier. You only get to see one, and for some reason I picked the sandwiches cutscene twice. Oops. The game itself is pretty underwhelming in every area from music and graphics to gameplay and story, but this was 1988, and they didn't have Kirby's Adventure or anything like that to compare it to then. I bet if I owned Dragon Power when it came out, I would have been all about it, because it is pretty accessible, charming, and for what it is, a fun playthrough. That, and now every time you hear the word sandwiches, you'll be thinking of
panties!